Welcome everybody to Tasty Tuesdays. I'm Lorraine Hughes, your happy little host for today. And tonight I'm with Keri from Mindfulness with Keri. Hello, Keri, and welcome.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing absolutely wonderful because I'm chatting with you.
And we're going to laugh a lot, I can tell.
Oh, yeah. So without further ado, let me introduce Keri properly. So Keri is an intuitive healer, a mum, a wife, a Reiki practitioner, and an Access BARS practitioner, amongst other magical things. Whether she realizes it or not. Leading up to Keri turning 40, she was in a corporate job and had a business on the side, as well as being a devoted mum and wife. When consciousness and skills with spirit came a knocking and it showed up in Keri's world as burnout, this was her pivot point, and from here she got super brave and embraced her capacities with connecting to the spirit world and so much more.
So much more.
Yes, because as we know, anybody who has done any of this sort of work, this is only the beginning. It starts off with one little step and it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. So thank you so much for being here, Keri. I'm so excited to have you. Like, I've got goosebumps. Seriously, I got goosebumps chatting to you.
We connected the first time when I did my first, that was BARS, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You were there when I did my BARS course.
Yeah.
So that was
a fun day.
It was. That was a bit intense, but it was good.
Yeah. I know. We're just two happy little buddies doing happy little buddy things, and you know, it was just a really interesting day for us both, I think.
Yeah. Well, for me, there was two of us that were new to it, and there was then yourself and
Lucy.
Bernice.
Oh, was Bernice there as well?
Yeah, it was Bernice.
Oh, that's right, she was.
Yeah, and so it was really interesting to see how us newbies went against you guys that have practiced for a while. So you guys were just like, you were getting an extra couple of sessions.
We were just blessed, man.
Yeah. You're like, I don't care. I'm having a bar session. So
yeah, man. Cool. And for those of you who don't know what Access BARS are, Keri, would you like to tell them?
It's using the 32 points on the head, the energy points, and working with that to clear the stagnant energy. Sometimes it's like you have the constant thought patterns and that anything you want to, you can't sleep. It will help you sleep. It will help you sleep. So you sometimes fall asleep in your session, but it's all good. So,
it does help you sleep. See?
Yeah.
Proved it. You fell asleep in your session.
Helps stop the constant chatter. So we all have that at times. So, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things I really love about the BARS is that you can do it almost anywhere. That's the cool thing,
Yeah.
I've literally run BARS in the airport.
Wow.
Yeah. And
cool.
I know, and had mine run just quickly in the airport too, which was great. Little bit awkward sitting on the floor, have the person between your legs sitting on the floor, but we made it work,
Yeah.
But it's and I've run BARS in the car, like just leaned the front seat back and had the other person sitting in the back seat.
Yeah.
You can run your BARS there. In bed, obviously, if you've got you and your partner, you can run BARS in the bed. You can run them anywhere, really.
Yeah.
And it's one of those tools that I don't think will ever leave my repertoire. Like you can actually literally run your BARS on yourself. It's not nearly as potent as when somebody else does it.
It wasn't as good, but I still got some. I slept afterwards. That would have been a bit awkward, but no, I did.
Absolutely. And I really love the fact of the clarity that it gives you. And like, if you've got a particular problem that you're dealing with and you're having your BARS run and you're talking about the problem, quite often what will happen is that the BARS will just sort of help release any of the emotional attachment to that problem, so you can actually see the solution with a lot more clarity.
And I think if you're in tune with your practitioner, like I had my bars run by Anna, and I remember it was hilarious because like my stomach, no, I could hear her stomach going. My stomach went, her stomach went, and then I'm just laughing, and we're like, oh my God, it was just hilarious. It was really amazing, relaxing, but yeah, just the clearing we got out that day. So yeah, it was really cool. So yeah.
So excellent. Anyway, we could talk about bars forever because there's just so many awesome moments that have happened through, like when you're a practitioner and also the receiver. Like there's just so many beautiful, amazing moments that happen when you run bars.
That's why I became a practitioner, because I loved the effect of receiving it and the clarity.
Me too. Me too. For me, being able to, I remember after my very first class, that was when I found out how to take away headaches. And I was like, because at that stage I was on 24 Nurofen a month, just for headaches.
Yeah.
And then I did my first bars class and I went, so if my head's sore, I can just push in that point for like 60 seconds and ask the bar to stop running. And it was like, it totally worked. And I was like, holy. And also having my bars run helped my headaches to go away.
Wow.
So they were less frequent anyway. And when they did pop up, I'd just push on the point and it would go away. It would stop. And I was like, oh, I haven't had a Nurofen since.
Amazing.
And that was back in 2016.
Wow. Yeah. So there's just proof that it helps. So, yeah, amazing.
Yeah. To go from a habit, basically, of 24 a month. It was probably not good for my guts.
No, not Nurofen. Hope you ate beforehand.
I can't remember.
I've got a headache. Yeah.
Just get that stuff in my belly. So we've touched on a little bit in your intro about your spiritual journey with the burnout and stuff, but could you sort of dive a little bit more deeper into the leading up into that and how you started on your spiritual journey?
Yeah, I think it literally, I say sometimes I think I lost myself in motherhood, and it's not a bad thing at all, but I lost myself, and, you know, it was sort of like women, a lot of us in general, you know, we do everything for everyone else and sometimes forget to fill our cups up first. And that's life. But yeah, I was in jobs I hated, but I was like, oh no, you know, I need the money. So I've got to, you know, so I stayed. Like if I look now, I'm like, yeah, there's so many red flags I should have got out. But, you know, I've learned those lessons now. And because I also found I kept coming up against the same personality in jobs. Yeah. I won't go into it because people, if they watch this and I've worked with them, they'll be wondering if it's them. But, yeah, came out. And, yeah, I think I lost my self-esteem a little bit. And I don't know what it was, but my journey started with meditation. I'd go to a Monday night meditation, and that was my one thing. Every Monday night, that was it. That was my time. You know, at that stage, there was no dance. There was no, you know, sports that night. That's the night I could go. I did that until the lady stopped doing the meditations. So sort of felt like I was floundering a little bit, not sort of knowing. And then I think I met Lucy from Head to Heart Health, and I had been seeing her for bars. And then obviously I met yourself at the one-day course. So Access BARS was my first modality that I've been using. And I had a few Reiki sessions. I love that as well. So that's obviously Reiki's been more current, completing that. But I think I don't know, I just felt there was more to my life. I had more to offer than I was feeling in corporate jobs. And I also wanted to be a role model for my kids, because I think, I grew up in the area, and might be like yourself, you had to have a car, sorry, not a car, had to have a job, you make sure you've got another job before you leave the current job. And, there's all these I don't even know, not boundaries, all these things that we,
expectations and rules.
That's the word, expectations from others. And I don't know. I am in and out of jobs. I started my old business as a side hustle. Then last year I shut that one down. I was just burnt out. I was an absolute mess. People think everything's fine because, on social media we act like everything's perfect, but it wasn't for me. I knew I had Access BARS that I could do. But I'd also, something I'd been putting off for a very long time, was my connection to spirit. I think I was scared of it. I would see shadows. I would feel people around me. I would hear things and think I was going crazy. And then my granny came to me a few times. So that was and it was usually 3:30 in the morning. I'm awake, can't sleep, and then I'd be like, oh, shit, my granny's here and stuff like that. So, and I've found more recently with the Reiki, that's opened my channel to spirit and past loved ones a lot more. It scared me for a little bit, but now I'm like, I'm just going to go with it, because obviously, that's my path, and these people are coming to me to pass on messages. And it's been crazy, scary, but it's good, exciting, and I've loved being able to help people. So my currently, obviously finishing off my Reiki to get certification, I've had to do a lot of case studies, and I'm finding the messages. So it's more, I'm doing the Reiki, but the messages come through so you're trying to remember everything that's come through as well. That's interesting. But it's exciting, and it's been pretty cool. I'm not complaining. So, and I just want to be able to help more people, and it's not always for everyone, and that's fine as well. But the things that I went through, the things I was seeing and feeling, now I know I've had them confirmed by these people, and it's really interesting.
It's neat, isn't it? It's that feedback that happens when you're working on a spiritual energetic sense, and it's just sort of when they go, that's true, that's all coming out, it's thank God, I'm not going nuts. It's not mine, it is actually yours. Okay, cool. I still get that even now.
I've had a few people come through, and I'm like, why are you coming to me? I don't want to deal with you, but I'm like, I had my sister-in-law's mum, all I could hear was Keri, 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 Keri for 3 days. So that was interesting. So
we'll have to have a chat afterwards about office hours.
I know. I'm still learning, so but I'm loving what I'm doing, the confirmation of the messages I'm getting, and you see instantly the help it gives people, because sometimes we just want to know everyone that has passed over is okay as well, and things that we're going through, you're not alone. You have your your people around you, your spirits, and that. So
absolutely. And that's why several years ago I switched from calling them guides, which always felt a bit weird to me, and when it would have been within my time within Access, and I turned it to calling them my spirit team.
Yeah.
So that it's like they're not above me.
Yeah.
They are part of my team. They're like my co-workers.
Yeah.
And they love to help. They absolutely love to help. And like, especially like if you've got those close family members, they definitely wish to help.
Yeah.
And
I've seen sides of my family members I never saw when they were with us, when they were Earthside. And I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad's a really good one for that one. He's like, he's such a cheeky little bugger. But
I wonder where you get it from.
No idea.
Yeah.
But he's someone who, before my talents really opened up and my ability to listen opened up, whenever I'd go and see a reader, he would pretty much be yelling at them. And because he was so excited, excited. Somebody was actually hearing him and somebody was going to be able to pass on his messages to me, because we hadn't spoken since I was 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so for him, when he passed away, that was like 20 years later. Yeah. So for him, it was like really exciting to him to finally have messages that he's been wanting to tell me to come through. Now my ears are open, my spirit ears are open, so to speak. And so he pops in every now and then, and I can quite often hear him giggling away when I'm talking about him or something like that. You know, when he's done something a bit cheeky or whatever. And, you know, he's funny. He's settled heaps. But, you know, we had some interesting moments not long after he passed away, where he was doing things that weren't really spiritually ethical, and I had to tell him off, you know. And it's like, you want to be out in this world and you want to be a part of my team? Then that's not okay. You know. Because they don't always know to start off with. There's a transition space when they first pass over where they haven't, they might kind of click that they're dead. Yeah. But they haven't quite clicked into the etheric realm of like responsibility and what that means. They just kind of sometimes, not all times, but sometimes a very few kind of get a little bit power happy.
Okay. Oh, stuff to look forward to, no doubt.
Yeah. And, you know, it was just lucky that I was able to just go, wait, stop. Yeah. So we just have a bit of a laugh about that now. But at the time, what he was doing was definitely not okay. And he was messing with someone's heart rhythms and stuff like that, which was not okay.
Cheeky bugger. Definitely. Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Hi, MJ. MJ's popped in there. So,
hello.
Hi. Hello. So, yes, there's lots for you to explore and move into and shift into. I love the fact that you're really embracing your mediumship side of things. That's just so super cool.
Just going with it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the best way to do it. Absolute best way. Yeah. So I know you're still feeling your way through things and that, but at this stage of your journey, like, what does consciousness mean to you?
Consciousness just means, for me, it feels being aware. I'm just aware of things. I'm just being open to receiving messages, passing messages on, and just listening to my body and my intuition, which, I've done more and more of that recently, and things are going great. So, that's how I see it. Everyone's different. But, just knowing it's bigger than just what we see in front of us in real life. Like,
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful, simplistic answer, and I love it because it's very much in line with like where I feel with it too. It's like it's just being aware that there's more than what you see. It's more than what you feel. It's more than, you know, it's there's connections to all the things you don't even see or feel as such, but you're aware of. It's your awareness of what you can't see or feel. So hi Mila. MJ is Mila. So hi Mila.
Hi, Mila.
And Julie wanted to know, how can they change someone's heart rhythms? Okay, so
yeah, I want to know that one too.
So with that one, what was happening was it was showing up as heart arrhythmia. So obviously our heart works on electrical charge, which is energy, right? And what a spirit who's not being ethical can do is they can actually come in and disrupt the electricity or the electrical charge, the energy charge around the heart, and make it do weird things. And so it was showing up as arrhythmia. Then they'd get up to the hospital and it would completely disappear. There'd be nothing. And this happened several times over about a 3-week span.
Was he someone he knew very well, or?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. Okay. So I'd rather not go into who it was.
That's fine. So. Obviously, knew of the person.
Yes, okay. Yes. Yep. And he had his reasons for doing that. And to him, they were very valid.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, it was not his place to do any of that. So, like these days, I know tools on how to, you know, have people and spirits or entities go and evict them, so to speak, from people's bodies and hangers on and stuff like that. I mean, they can show up in all sorts of ways, you know, like I had a lady who I was running her bars one day and she said to me, God, my shoulder's sore. Like, it just reminds me of my auntie, whatever it was. I'll call her Auntie Pat because I can't remember who the auntie was. And I said, and I was like, I was asking in my head, truth, is Auntie Pat standing really close? And it was like, yeah. And she was standing so close that her aching shoulder, her sore shoulder, I think she might have had arthritis in her shoulder, was actually affecting her niece.
Wow.
And making her niece feel the same, right? Yep. So that's how it can show up. So I just said to her, can you ask your auntie to step away a bit? Acknowledge that she's here and thank her for her presence. And, you know, if she's got any other messages to pass through, we can do that too. But now could she just step away from you? And as soon as she did that, her shoulder disappeared, like her sore shoulder disappeared.
Yep.
Immediately. And it was just like, okay, cool. So quite often when we've got those mysterious illnesses that pop up and we can't sort of think what it is, but it is, you know, it reminds you of somebody else. It's like more often than not, it's that person standing way too close to you and wishing to get messages through.
Yeah.
More often than not.
Wow. Yep. It's so interesting, isn't it? There's so much.
I know. All stuff that you get to look out for and, you know, and just sort of be aware, like, and for us as practitioners, we get that wonderful moment of going, oh, I can feel that's going on with that person's body.
Yeah.
And we just got to remember that, especially when we're running bars, it's not ours. It's theirs.
Yeah. So it's like afterwards, okay, that was their energy, not mine.
Yeah, exactly. I hope that answers your question, Julie. Yeah, super fascinating stuff. I love it. So I think I'd like to ask the question of what is the most tasty moment that you've had so far? Now, this can be within your life. It can be within your business, your spiritual life. It can be just in general. It's up to you.
Oh. The tastiest or the funniest? There's so many. Have you met my family? No. Well, I hope my cousin won't mind, but my uncle came. I was doing Reiki on her last week, and her dad passed a few years ago, and he came through. And for me, my uncle, lovely guy, but, you know, business owner, and just what he said, went. And I was this thing came through, and he was a trucker, and came up, her partner is a trucker, and the message was, "That'd be right, you've picked a trucker." My papa was a trucker as well, and then the next message came through was like, "Well, he can never look as good as me in my short shorts in the truck," sort of thing. And I just laughed and laughed, and my cousin's just like shaking her head going, "Oh my God." But that's been one just recently that was just really awesome as well, because I'd sort of also hadn't necessarily seen that side of my uncle, or hadn't seen it for a very long time. And then that was confirmation that he's doing okay, And it was awesome. It was funny. I've had a few funny messages, and it's interesting when you've got to say to someone, "Was so and so like really cheeky?" And they're like, "Huh?" I'm like, because I'm wanting to laugh, and so I've had a few really cool ones. Just in life, I don't know. We're just hubby and I and the kids. We're just in a really good, position. I love the fact that the support I've got on this business journey and this journey of connecting to spirit and energy, working with energy. And I love the flow-on effect that especially within a family unit, when you start working on yourself, the flow-on effect it has to your partner, to your children, even to your parents, because sometimes you're clearing generational shit. Sorry. And also knowing that I'm dealing with this now, so my daughter doesn't have to, my son doesn't have to. Not going to keep taking that into the next generation for them to deal with. So, and it's not always easy, but it's worthwhile when you own your own crap. And you're dealing with it, you're working on yourself. So it's not always pretty. It's, it can get very uncomfortable, but it's like we're also worth it. We're all worth working on and wanting to be the best versions of ourselves. And these healing modalities that, I feel like they're somewhat gifts that we learn and are given, because I just think as a mum of a teenage daughter, especially teenage girls or preteens were to learn some of these and use these tools, how much better they would be going into adulthood and dealing with life and everything it comes to. So I don't know if that was the exact question you were asking, but there's some of my just the way I feel about what I do and what I've learned working on myself, and now offering that to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just like, as you were talking, I was like, can you imagine just how much easier being a teenager would be if meditation, just even meditation, was a part of the school curriculum? Like if every morning and every afternoon before they start the day in homeroom and before they end the day and go home for the day in homeroom, they do like 15 minutes of meditation at each end of the school day. Like how different would they be able to handle all of the different hormonal changes and the stuff happening with their friends and all that, because everybody would be doing it together.
Yeah.
Not just like one or two of them are doing it because their mum does it, or dad does it, or the family does it, which makes them kind of like that weird kid that does that funny thing, but it's like if everybody was doing that at school, like, and it would just make even the teachers' lives so much easier, and
it would be the flow-on effect. It would just spread out. I think the world would be different.
Oh my goodness. And I'm like, and that would actually mean that the teachers have to learn how to do meditation.
Yeah.
So they would be filling up their cups as well. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, wow, it just blew my mind.
It would be amazing.
So what does Julie say here? Shame, a lot of things aren't taught at school. Meditation, boundaries, and teaching them they are enough.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I also think budgeting and money, that's not
practical stuff.
Practical stuff, because I don't know about you, but a lot of the stuff you learn in high school, I haven't used it since. So yeah.
I really, if we go down that road for a second, I really believe that it's every child. Yes, I was going to say that, Julie, cooking.
Yes.
Every child in high school, or teen, I should say, like between the ages of 11, 12, right up to 14. So at least 4 years. So last couple of years of primary school and the first couple of years of high school, they go and attend home economics, where they get to learn cooking and budgeting and, even sewing, like how to do sewing and stuff like that. Like in my high school, like you could do home ec. I don't know if they still do. I think they do, but it wasn't compulsory at all. You could choose to do it if you wish to, but 2 years of primary school, I did have it. And we did do cooking and sewing and woodwork and all those sorts of things. And it was great. I'm so glad I got to do that. But I see the kids coming through now and they don't even know how to boil water. And I'm like, you turn on the kettle?
Yeah.
The kettle even turns itself off. It's not hard.
Yeah. No, I think.
Or they don't even know how to cook toast. If I wish to not be quite so dramatic, but they don't even know how to cook toast. And it's like, how can you not know how to cook toast? And it's because, my generation and that have just done everything for them.
Yeah. We grew up with wooden spoons. It was like, do it or else. I think my mum broke more on the kitchen table than on our backsides, but yeah.
Ours was the threat of the cane, to be honest.
Oh, that's harsh.
I received it as the eldest. I received it once, and then it became like that 100 monkeys syndrome, where it's like the next kid and the next kid didn't need it to know because I had received it. So I was like, no, you don't want to go there. No.
You shouldn't have said that. Yeah, wow. But no, I think, going back to, I just think, meditation to start with, and just a bit of mindfulness. It would change so much. And I think, we're a technology age now, and people have lost manners. Sometimes I think they've lost common sense. But just a few general things would change the outcome for a lot of kids, and it would stop women like about to turn 40. It was like myself, and just looking at things going, no, I don't want to be like this anymore, and I want to change, and how can I change? And and I just
absolutely
find the tools that I'm learning to use now are just amazing. So
Exactly. It's like, and as Julie says in the comments there, she's like saying it would make the kids calmer. And I mean, I know for myself, I remember back to when I was a teenager, it wasn't that long ago. There was moments there. I really distinctly remember there was this one moment where Mum and I had been talking about something, and next thing you know, she said something and I said something, and I've exploded. Yeah. And it's just come out from the bottom of my belly, and it's just gone kabwah.
Yeah.
And I've stormed out and I've slammed my bedroom door, and I've sat down on my bed and went, where the hell did that come from? I don't even know.
Yeah.
And then I felt really anxious and worried that I'd done something to hurt my mum. And, then I burst into tears. So it was like this.
Yep.
And it's like, if I had known something like meditation back then, I think that would have helped a lot. It's like being able to even just be gently nudged by, say, my mom or whatever, to go, okay, I can see that you're feeling like things are starting to get a bit ramped up here. Perhaps we could go do some meditation together.
Yeah,
go do some breathing.
Open the lines of how to. We used to go to your room. Whereas even changing words, like, okay, I think you go take a few minutes, just sit down, just breathe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's funny because even for when I start looking at and picking apart those moments, I go, and this is something that we do as practitioners a lot, is looking at what's underneath that. What's underneath that? What's underneath that? It's that lovely little digging tool that you learn, especially in theta healing, you learn that.
Yeah.
And if I, to be honest, look back at that moment, I would say what was really under that was I was searching for the love and time with my mum.
Yeah. And it's usually those sorts of things, and
And then as a teenager, you just don't know how to say that. You don't know how to communicate that well.
And sometimes you don't want to be, you don't want to be seen as, you're that close to your mum, so you push your mum away, because you want to be cool or whatever. So
those funny things we do.
My daughter still likes hanging out with me, so touch wood, I'll take that for a little bit longer. She's 16, be 17 at the end of the year. I'm like, I'll take that. So I'm also very mindful of how I talk to her when she comes to me with issues and problems, and so that's why my business is mindfulness as well, because words hurt. Words can pack a punch. So if we can take a minute and if I'm getting triggered by something, nowadays I can go, okay, what is it? No, I don't want to say it that way. And I'll give myself a few minutes and then go talk and whatever. So, So that's why, it was mindfulness. Because words just pack a punch. And, sometimes when we're stressed, things come out the wrong way. And, so, no.
Yeah, I think for you especially it would have been, and I'm guessing for many of our other viewers out there, those, like you said, those stressful moments, and things do come out the wrong way when we're stressed, and then we've sort of got to backpedal afterwards and go, I'm so sorry, I didn't need to say that.
But just being mindful of what you're about to say come out of your mouth, taking those few moments can stop a lot of that. Because the way we respond is our responsibility. And I've taught my kids that, like, that's fine, but the way you respond, that's your responsibility. So, and just hoping to make good adults, human beings in the world. So,
Yeah. It was funny. There was a conversation that came up just recently around responsibility of, yes, you are 100% responsible for what you say and what you do and how you react, just like you said.
Yeah.
You are not responsible for how someone else reacts.
Yeah.
And taking on their pain, their trauma, and all of that. Like, you are not responsible for any of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, if you've done something that has upset or hurt them, yes, you are responsible for what you have said and done.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a really interesting boundary there, which, as somebody who is empathic and psychic and all of that sort of stuff, those boundaries get blurred really quickly, because it's like you are feeling their pain and their hurt and their suffering, and then if you're dealing with somebody who's maybe not so responsible for their own stuff and they like to just offload onto others, playing the victim. And also they actually, the person who you've hurt actually turns around and becomes the abuser, which is really interesting.
Oh,
yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of a few situations.
Yeah. Yeah, and basically it's just them not dealing with their own hurt spaces and their own stuff that's coming up, and they're not being responsible for their own things.
Yeah.
Which I'm really glad that you're teaching your kids that. It's like, no, you are responsible for your own reactions. You know, this is so important. And then there's a lot of adults out there that don't know that.
No, but we're only, you only do what you're taught, and our parents only did the best they knew, or how to do. And this is where talk about when you work on things that come up. It could be 7 generations ago that it started back then, and I'm happy to stop that now, so it doesn't continue for the next 7 generations. So I'm happy to do the work. I wasn't always happy, but it was like, this is awful, this is scary, and I'm so uncomfortable. But now you sort of I think you get used to it a little bit. Not you don't get used to it. Sorry, that's probably the wrong. You're just like, okay, you know when a lesson's come up to be learnt and deal with, and you know how to deal with it better. That's what I meant to say.
Absolutely, you're an allowance of the moments as they appear.
Yeah.
Because I know that for a long time I wasn't an allowance of much of it. Even when I was first learning how to run bars, I wasn't an allowance of the energy releasing, especially when it was coming through me. It was like, no.
Yeah.
And it would get up to here, like up to here on my arms, and it would start hurting really, really bad on my arms. And then I kept trying to push it away, like, using some of our lovely tools like return to senders with consciousness attached, but it's like all it's doing is sending it in a big loop, because it's like the people are trying to release it and I'm pushing it back going, no, it can't come through me. And then eventually I realized, hang on a minute, what if I'm just a conduit? What if I just allow the energy, like allow my boundaries to pop down, forget about myself for a bit, and it's just, I'm a tube. They're releasing through me. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I like about Reiki's a little bit different, because you're clearing it. It's not necessarily for the Reiki's coming through you, and it can be such a beautiful feeling. So it's like when you give a session, you're getting a Reiki session as well. So so I like they're two different modalities, and
Okay, so how do you ladies work on things, please?
You have to recognize that there is something there. That's the first one. If something's coming up again and again, it's there for you to notice it as a lesson. That's how I look at it. And then I sit and I sort of ask, okay, what, like one, sometimes I ask, why am I being triggered? And just I sit and I quiet, and usually I get some answers, and So how do you?
So there's a lot of tools that I use when I work on things. Some new phrases that have come into my vocabulary lately is I've dropped the word triggered, and I now use the word activated. So it's just a way more expansive way of looking at things. It's like, how is this activating me? What am I being asked to look at here? And I just go into question. I ask a lot of questions, and I do my very best to look at without shying away from things. Because quite often what can happen when you're processing yourself and working on your own things is that things can feel really uncomfortable, like you said, Keri, and it can be something maybe you don't really want to look at. And because you've hidden it away in that little cupboard over there. The stuff keeps coming up, but it's like, I don't want to look at that yet. And obviously when we use the word want and need, that means to lack. So when I say I don't want to look at it, it means I'm lacking in looking at it, which means I'm actually looking at it more than what I would perhaps desire to, because it keeps smacking me in the face. So
So like get a
So-
tap at the back of the head. It's like, oh, okay, I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
So,
Especially like, as you mentioned at the top of the show, Keri, with, you know, that similar personality keeping on showing up. And it's like, well, what's the common denominator here? It's actually not the personality, it's you.
yeah.
You know, so what is it? So then I turn it back and I look at that and I go, okay, what is it? What am I doing? If everything is a reflection of what I'm doing and being,
Yeah.
what is this? So for me, the energy and the personality type of a narcissist kept coming up in multiple different forms, right? Between work, my personal relationships, friendships, family, it just kept coming up over and over again. And I did a lot of work. I removed a lot of it out of my life.
Yeah.
But then there was just like two aspects were still left there. And I was just like, what the fuck? And I made the demand of myself. Like, and I just said, right, wherever it is that I am being this,
Yeah.
I demand to be shown it now. And then I started asking some questions of myself. It's like, truth, am I being a narcissist with other people? And it was a no. So I used my awareness, right? And it was a no. And I was like, well, where am I being a narcissist then? What is that? Because it's obviously still there. And what it was is I was being narcissistic with money and with my business.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to do, and when it hit me, I was floored, absolutely floored. I couldn't believe that I had been so horrible and so abusive to those energies in my life. And it was, you know, I vowed right then and there to change that, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And more recently, you know, somatic healing, that has sort of popped in where you're dealing with your child self.
Yeah.
And speaking and being aware of when your child self comes up, because she can have some pretty big feelings.
Yeah.
And often when we are triggered, it is, or activated, it is something that belongs in the past.
Yeah.
And quite often to our childhood. So
Yeah.
then you start asking those questions like, where in my childhood, when was the first moment that I felt this?
Yeah.
When was the first moment I felt really sad? Or when was the first moment I felt really angry? Or when was the first moment I felt really abandoned? Or, you know, all those sorts of things. And you start having that internal dialogue with yourself.
Yeah. But also, I've gone and got help from other people because obviously I'm just new to this, I guess, and I knew I needed help because, I was coming up against the same personality. And when I looked at myself and through the work I did with, I had hypnotherapy, NLP, it came up that, you know, sometimes it's like I didn't appreciate or love myself enough. So it's then you've got to work on self-love, self-care. It's, you know, you start working on one thing and it gets bigger and bigger, but it's all, I feel it's all connected. And, you know, it does come down to self-worth, self-love, backing yourself. And for me, I was in jobs I wasn't enjoying, and because it was out of fear of lack of money or whatever. And now I don't have that. I've got more love for myself because I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. And I even said to my daughter the other day, because she's got a part-time job, and I'm like, oh, are you excited to go to work? She goes, yep. And I said, well, the moment you're not, that's not the job for you. That's when it's time to change, because that's the big lesson I've learned. And So Julie, I also looked for outside help.
Yes.
So,
I absolutely 100% agree with that. Like, I've been doing this journey for many years now. So it's like I still search for outside. I have a lot more tools now to be able to process myself.
Yeah.
But there is still moments where I'm just sort of like, oh gosh, I think I really do require some extra help here. I
Isn't it
require
amazing,
some.
the community, because you reach out to people and people are like, yep, people are so willing to help you because they've been through it too. So
Yeah.
I think the other thing is knowing that you're not alone. As we're all on different stages on our journey, we all started somewhere. And we've all felt uncomfortable and not liking what's coming up, and then doing the lesson and feeling better. And then, it doesn't mean it's the only time it's going to come up. It might come up a few times, and you've got to keep working. It's a journey. So,
yeah, and sometimes there's many layers to it as well. It's like maybe you've worked on that one layer and you've done it, you've dealt with that, boom, gone. But there could be multiple layers underneath that sort of feel the same, but they're not.
And I do find every time it comes up again, it's not as uncomfortable. Yeah. So anyone going on the journey and coming up to things, just remember it's not, it does get a little bit easier.
Yeah. Absolutely. And yes, Julie, you're 100% correct. Sometimes we are too close to the issue.
Yeah.
And, when you're not emotionally attached to something, you can see through things very fast. It's like, yep, sweet. And what's underneath that? Boom, 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 boom. Ask the right question. Bam, you're done.
Yeah.
It is so much cooler. And also, like, from an energy healing perspective, like, with your Reiki or bars or all the awesome stuff that I do, like, all of it from a physical body sense is absolutely valid too. And the body requires that extra energy work to tap in and to release from the cells.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of trauma that gets locked into cells and of the body, and internally, as well as the skin and in the brain and all that sort of stuff. And it's really fascinating when you start looking into like bodies of work like Ina Segal or Louise Hay or stuff like that. And you can see this, like, they're 100% correct. Like, yes, the uterus holds this. Yes, the heart holds this. Yes, your shoulder or your fingers or your toes or whatever. It's super fascinating.
Yeah, I've got Ina Segal's The Secret Language of the Body book. That's been a top one. So that anyone's looking for something, that book is amazing, because you've got an issue, you'll read it and go, oh, and it's like, spot on. Yeah.
And I use that book and I actually pair it with Access Consciousness Clearings.
Yep, I can see.
Because it just cuts through really quickly, I love it.
Amazing book, though. So spot on with everything.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. So with your beautiful business, Mindfulness with Keri, what is the aim of it?
Ultimately, it's to help as many people as feel drawn to me. People that feel that I'm their kind of person to work with. I would love to work with teenage girls down the track. But on the other end of the spectrum, and coming from, I guess, seeing my dad retired and sort of how that can affect especially men in retirement, I'd love to be able to go into nursing homes and, give healing sessions and just, I don't know. There's a big picture. I'm waiting for it to sort of unravel, but ultimately to just help people, feel better. And if there's messages that are for people to be able to pass them on, and I don't know. I just want to help people. I want people to feel good like I do after treatments, and just I ultimately think, everyone, just the world could be such a better place if everyone, 15 minutes of meditation. Just, Can
you imagine that? Can you imagine every workplace, right? So first of all, these kids go through high school and they do 15 minutes of meditation at the start of the day and at the end of the day. And then they go off and they go to work. And at work, you do 15 minutes of meditation at the start of the day and 15 at the end of the day. Could you imagine what a different world it would be if everybody got to do that?
Yeah. Like, and it would, I think it would turn some toxic work environments into non-toxic work environments, and people would be happier. People would, it would be so different, make such an impact.
Well, anything that doesn't allow that now, whatever it takes to spin in whatever molecule, 180 degrees. Oh, let's destroy and uncreate all of that. Send it all up to the universe with consciousness attached.
Yes. Change in the world.
I get that. Actually, that's the sort of thing that is being unleashed now. Not just created, it's already there. It's because we're talking about it. So there was a brilliant book I listened to, it was last year, called A Happy Pocket Full of Money, which was talking about quantum mechanics and how that all works. And basically they were saying, if you can think it and speak about it now, it already exists.
Yeah, I think I remember you talking about this.
So the fact that we're talking about this now means it exists somewhere, right? And it's just up to us to actually grab it and receive it and to bring it into fruition, if you like, or actualization. It's already been manifested, if you like to use those terms. It's already there.
Yeah.
And we've just got to switch it into our life. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's so cool. Now, how can we create that?
Yeah.
You know? So what if all of us people who have businesses, before we start any work, we sit there at the start of our day and go, right, even if it was just 5 minutes of meditation at the start of the day, start, okay. And we book it in. Boom.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, 5 minutes.
Boom.
Or 15. 15's better. 15 doesn't take long, really.
But can you imagine? Yeah. The world is a beautiful place. We've just, I think our eyes have been, our blinkers are starting to come off. People are starting to see that,
Oh, it's so exciting. So exciting. It's I wish to go into verbal diarrhea, but I'm not going to.
There's no fun in that for us.
So with, you're still in the sort of, I would say the more, not quite the beginning stages. You're more advanced through than the beginning stages. And you've given already a couple of top tips for people who are new and are working through their stuff. But I'd love to know, like, have you got any more that might be up your sleeve for somebody who's just new? Oh, hi, Lynn. Lynn's from New Zealand. Sorry. Barry is Lynn, and Lynn is from New Zealand. So if you get Lynn's husband, Barry, stepping in to say hello, that's why.
Oh, there you go. Top tips for starting out. I do want to say, just if something's coming up and you want to work on it, first and foremost, be kind to yourself. Because knowing that whatever you unravel, whatever layer there is to peel back, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you are so worth it. It's knowing that the work you're doing is so worth it. You deserve it. But look for help. If you're not sure where to start, there's people like Lorraine, myself. There's so many people out there. There's such a beautiful community of people that just, we get it. No, you're not alone, because we get it. Everyone's got their own story as well. And different childhood traumas, and we've got lifetimes of stuff, I guess is the way I'd say it. And just know you're not alone. There is help out there. The most simple thing you can do is stop and just breathe. Just give yourself, even if it's just a couple of minutes, just deep breaths. Get silent, listen, just start listening. And, you might think, oh, I think I'm hearing things, because that's how I was like, I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things. And it's like, oh, hang on, just start trusting that and getting silent, listening. And I think anyone would be totally just not amazed, but you'd be surprised in what comes through. And that's the start of trusting yourself, backing yourself, trusting what's coming through, knowing you're good enough. You deserve it. We're all just, yeah. I don't know. I just think, just know you're not alone, know you're worth it, and just breathe, So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you hit me in the feels, hun. You really did. I'm like going, oh, I wish somebody had told me that back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I wish someone had told me. But then I've met beautiful people on my journey that, it's just nice to know you're not alone. So, and you're aligned. You'll find someone you want to work with if you're starting out, and there'll be a reason why that person has come to mind, or you've found them, and just trust that. So, that's the other thing. We come into people's lives for a reason.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's so many beautiful, amazing people I have connected with over the years. And I remember one of my very first people I connected with, we were working, I was right in the middle of my very toxic relationship, first marriage. And him and I were in a stage production of Oliver. So we were doing backstage stuff, and I was not on the healing journey actively at all. I had no idea about it. I had not really done anything with spiritual connection because I'd shut it down quite significantly when I was young. And this beautiful couple asked us over for dinner after one of them, the lovely lady, she was actually in the show, and her husband was backstage with us, and they asked us over for dinner after everything was done. And it was through that connection, through that dinner, that I found out that she did this thing called light therapy, where it was with different colored lights and stuff, and it would be over your face. And she asked me if I'd like a session, and I was just like, sure. I don't know anything about this stuff, but sure. And I would say that that's probably my top tip, is that when people come into your world and they start offering you unusual, different ways of tapping into the spiritual, energetic world, in the healing world, take them.
Yes, definitely.
Say yes.
Yeah.
And you just never know where it will lead you, but it's like it will give you the starting steps to feeling like you're not alone. Like, I had no idea, but that one person, that one beautiful lady who I'm still connected with all these years later, she's kind of like a little auntie for me who sits up in Queensland now.
Lovely.
But I know that she's been connected to me through our lifetimes. Like, she's been one of my mentors and things throughout lifetimes as well. So it was just sort of like a natural progression. And it was with her connection that I actually started opening up my spiritual connection as well. And so with this light healing and the spiritual connection stuff, it was just gently door opened gently, very
Yeah.
gently. And there was many years later, that's when I started getting into the law of attraction and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. It's just do a bit of reading, do a little bit of research. It's so easy to look at these things and find information and but it is a beautiful community to be part of because we've all been through stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into our last and final question, our most tasty question of the evening, the one that I love asking everybody, how can people get in touch with you, Miss Keri?
I am on Facebook and Instagram at Mindfulness with Keri. I do have a website, Mindfulness with Keri. And, I'm based in Adelaide, in the northern suburbs, but happy to work with people all over. And, even if you just want to message me and say hello, it's just nice being connected to people. So,
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And people can get distance Reiki sessions and stuff like that from you?
Yeah, I can do distance. I did a lady the other day in Victoria, so that was amazing. And so I love what I do. I love the Reiki at the moment is like a favorite because the results I'm getting and my clients are getting has been phenomenal. So, I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's why I got so excited when you said yes that you'd come on. I was like, yay!
And that was me just taking opportunities because that's one thing I said to myself this year. If an opportunity comes up, I'm taking it. So,
Absolutely. Yep. All right. So, if you could sit next to any person on a park bench for the afternoon, and they can be alive or dead, or in spirit form, I should say, and the weather is just perfect. You've got the lovely shady tree, and you've got no bitey things happening, and everything is just perfect. Who would that person be, and why?
To be honest, it would be Audrey Hepburn.
Ooh,
she's
a new one.
I've always been a fan of hers. I loved growing up watching the Sunday afternoon movies, and also I loved that in her, after the movie, she was a humanitarian and just an absolutely, elegant, lovely lady. So, I would love to just find out more about her life and all that. I just, I've always admired her.
Wow. Yeah. I've never had Audrey Hepburn. I love this.
First.
Yes.
So, I just felt she was just a beautiful person. And it wouldn't have been easy back in those days in movies and that, in old Hollywood. It was very chauvinistic and all that. And I just felt she did everything with grace. And, it was always herself.
It would be a fascinating chat to pick her brains, just to go, well, how did you handle that? And, what sort of situations were you in? And things that absolutely.
I'd love to talk to her.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for this most fascinating chat. I'm so happy that you came on and played with us for the hour or so. And I'm so excited to see where you go from here.
Thank you.
All of I know this just I'm so aware that you've got all these lovely things just sprinkling in right now, and
gotta grab them.
So thank you for being with us tonight. And so, of course, I will be back on Friday for Find You Fridays at 8 p.m. Our lovely intuitive reading, healing, other weird, wonderful, sparkly things that come through on that show. And next week on the 11th of April, the day before my birthday, just saying, we will be having Belinda Rogers, who is from the Crystal Grid Creations. So I'm really fascinated to have a chat with her. So yeah, this will be really interesting to see how she works with the crystals and the grid systems. And, I just really enjoy seeing all these different modalities. And this is why I love chatting to all these different types of people.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be watching. Yeah, that intrigues me as well. I'm interested in crystal grids.
Yeah. Me too. I've not really played with them, but I'm aware of them, and it's just like, oh, give it to me now.
Once you're on this journey, something new comes up. You want to learn about it and find out about it. It's just, now set in DNA, I think. It's just like, oh, that's interesting. I want to learn about it. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's really interesting. Like sometimes we're just a bit spoiled for choice, I think.
Yes.
So that would be another top tip, is go with the thing that lights you up the most.
Exactly, because not everything's for everyone, but you usually find what you gravitate towards.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like with card reading and stuff, I started with my oracle cards because tarot freaked me out.
Same. I'm like, ooh. So
now I read tarot because I did a course with the beautiful Kerri-Anne Miles, who does an absolutely excellent way of teaching tarot, and it is so non-threatening, and she makes it so easy and manageable, and like it actually makes you a better oracle reader. It makes you a better intuitive for reading with people's bodies when you're doing energy work. And it's just like,
I will get those details off of you because that interests me.
Ripple effects.
And that's one thing about the journey. It's the ripple effects and the flow on to family members. It's amazing. It's not
absolutely.
That's something, don't be scared of it. If you're getting little signs and people, you're seeing numbers, you're hearing things, you think you're seeing things, just sit with it. Ask the question. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah. All righty, my love. Thank you again.
It's been fun.
It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll have to get you back again, I think.
All right. Couple months time, it could be interesting. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Alrighty, everybody. Until I see you next time, be bold, be brave, be you. Get out there, do something tasty for yourself. I don't care what it is. Just do something tasty for you. And until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.